it true that it is difficult or even impossible to live a liberated lifestyle if you're still dependent on others for food or shelter or other essentials? Is it even possible to achieve that level of self-sufficiency in the modern world? Well, let's get into it.
From Dallas, Texas, this is Anarchast.
Greetings, free riders. Welcome back to your home for anarchy on the internet. I will be Patrick Smith. Did you see that? Did you see that? The new intro. It's here. We did it. It's good to see you guys again. We've taken about a little over a month off from this show, and we're going to start back with a really cool guest. Today, we bring you Shane Radcliffe, founder of Liberty Under Attack Publications, host of the Vonu podcast, founder of the Free Republic of, I want to make sure I say this right, Pasnia, correct? Welcome to the show. How are you today, Shane?
Correct. Hey, I'm doing well. I appreciate the invitation to come on and chat.
Awesome. So you're trying to build what you call intentional communities with like-minded folks to better be able to survive and be self-sufficient, to keep people from having power over you. Can you just start out by, telling us who you are, what you're up to, and kind of what you're aiming to do in the world?
Sure. So yeah, as you said, my name is Shane Radcliffe. I do some podcasts and such, but primarily what I do, I have a 22-acre homestead out here in southern Illinois, and I've got some lambs, goats, quail, and just really started the homestead thing pretty seriously earlier this year. Yeah, that's what I'm doing here. That's what I primarily focus on. And then, in terms of my freedom sort of stuff, I do Liberty Under Attack Publication, which started as LUA Radio back in February of 2015. That's when I began my dive into radio. And very, very soon after that, I found anarchism, and I went through the normal, philosophy and economics dive as most people do. And I got to a certain point, and I was like, all right, so free markets are the way to do things. Coercion's bad. How are we going to find freedom? And I unfortunately back in 2015, I didn't see a whole lot of discussion on it. There was agorism, and there was there's some folks doing cool things, but it wasn't I didn't think there was enough of a focus on it. So my focus in the alternative media has always been solutions. With LUA Radio, we did the Direct Action series, which focused on we had something before that called the Freedom Umbrella of Direct Action too. Basically, just a lot of things focused on direct action and solutions. And good.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's your first time on the show, so I have to ask you, how did you become an anarchist?
Yeah. So, I mean, it wasn't. I started when I started LUA Radio. It was more as kind of a, I guess you could say, kind of conspiratorial radio show. It wasn't geared towards anarchism, anarchist philosophy or economics or anything of that nature when I started. But yeah, it was just a few months after, and it was people I was talking to. I mean, there weren't really that many hangups left. It was just I didn't trust people, so I was like, well, how could I trust them with anarchy? And it didn't take long when I was talking to. When I was with the people I was working with, producing radio shows, it didn't take long for me to overcome those one or two objections, and then after that it was just off to the races with solutions, and that's what I've been doing since, and the Vonu podcast is just an extension of that too.
Okay. Awesome. Well, let's talk about it. So you're trying to work on yourself, or are you trying to help other people sort of build these intentional communities? What are you up to these days?
Yeah, so I guess more generally, I guess with Vonu, I should kind of mention that because that's kind of the background of these strategies and kind of how they coalesce. But Vonu, just real briefly, since it is new to a lot of folks, it's an awkward contraction of the words voluntary and not vulnerable, and is premised around becoming as invulnerable to coercion as humanly possible from both public coercers, governments, and private coercers, just private violators of person and property. So this was a freedom strategy and philosophy largely developed by a guy back in the 1960s who was named Tom Marshall, pseudonymously named Rayo, and he started. I guess he was just a radical libertarian back in the 1960s in Southern California. That was where a lot of those folks were. A lot of libertarians were back in the 60s and 70s. And he eventually, his first project that he worked on was something called the Fral's Project. They were trying to, they were looking into the potential solution of starting a new libertarian country on an island somewhere, floating platform, radical solutions like that for freedom. And eventually, they decided that wasn't that wouldn't really be feasible. Rayo got kind of sick of waiting around on people, and he moved out of his apartment and pursued van nomadism. So he just moved. He lived in a camper and just moved around. I guess the Pacific coast.
You said van.
The U.S.
You said van nomadism. Is that what you said?
Yep.
Okay, what is that?
He had a.
I'm hearing a lot of new words.
Yeah, so,
Vonu is V Victor ONU. Is that how you spell it? What is it?
Yep, correct.
Okay,
correct.
and van nomadism. What is that?
Yep. So I guess it's the popular phraseology now is van life. It's kind of the same concept. Basically, people, instead of living in small apartments, they convert an old work van into a live-aboard vehicle, or like Rayo lived in a camper mounted on a pickup truck. So basically, it's just anything you can convert to live in, and then you automatically, like, the biggest expense for a lot of people, and the thing that makes them most vulnerable to coercion is that physical address where the state can always come. And if you have that mobility, and this is something Rayo recognized very, very early on, if you have that mobility, if the coercers can't find you, they can't coerce you. So that was I guess that his kind of his mindset, and he eventually got more radical with it. He was a very, very very interesting individual. The camper, the van nomadism wasn't enough for him, so he pursued something that he called wilderness Vonu, and he lived in a polyethylene A tent, which is just what it sounds, a plastic tent, out in the Siskiyou National Forest, Northern California and Southern Oregon. He didn't want to have any dependence whatsoever on the state or on the servile society. Like the van nomadism, relying on he called them slave tags, driver's licensure, insurance, those sorts of things. He didn't like having to rely upon those. So his solution was to go very, very radical with it. Not everyone does. Not everyone does that, and you certainly don't have to. Vonu was, one of my favorites. I guess quotes of Rayo is Vonu was yours for the making. Basically, any lifestyle that you can, or anything you can do to make yourself more invulnerable to the coercion of the state and the servile society is a great thing. Whether we're talking van nomadism, whether we're talking security culture, hardening up your online privacy, or maybe your physical security, physical privacy. Regardless of whatever the strategy is, the idea here is to make yourself more invulnerable to coercion. And as you said a little bit ago, my kind of overarching strategy is, I think self-sufficiency is kind of a really, really great route. The less you depend on the servile society is what I call the mainstream society. Just the society in general is the servile society. Vonu terminology again.
Yeah. So I want to dive into some of these terms and maybe push back on some of them if you don't mind. Servile society sounds like a really condescending term for, I guess, normal people in everyday life. Is it not? Is it meant to be sort of condescending? Same for like slave tags. Like, people get license plates on their cars. It's like a defensive strategy. If you don't get license plates on your cars, then you're, subjectable to being attacked more often. So I don't like the condescension towards people that are just acting in self-defense, right? Like we shouldn't make fun of those people, right?
So in terms of this, so he has derisive, he has good labels for everything like that. And I find him kind of comical, but no, there's also a strategy in Vonu called legal interstices, and one of those strategies is what you do is you get a driver's license and you get registration, because if you have those things, there's a chance that you won't get pulled over. If you don't have those things and a bludgie, as that's what Rayo called cops, is bludgies. If the bludgies see you, and that's a very easy way for them to get you. So yes, you're exactly right. I mean, whenever he had his van, he never got rid of his van. He always had those tags, but they're not something that you want to depend upon because they can always be revoked. And at the same time too, I mean, they're not good things, right? Like they're not symbols of freedom. So like he he had a way with words a lot of times, and when he was in his van and out there in his tent, he typed up on his typewriter a lot of publications into he contributed to and founded a lot of libertarian publications back in the 60s and 70s. One of the major ones, Libertarian Connection, is still around today. Erwin Strauss is actually Erwin Strauss, who did Libertarian Connection back in the 60s and 70s. Big publication. Walter Block, Murray Rothbard, everyone. Rayo wrote in there. It was just a big publication, big libertarian publication back in the 60s and 70s. And yeah, Erwin Strauss still doing that today. And he actually wrote the book back in 1969 called How to Start Your Own Country, and that's where I got the inspiration for Pasnia, which is kind of the more as we said, the more overarching strategy of I guess kind of how I see another possibility for freedom.
Okay, I like that you framed it as another possibility for freedom, because a lot of times what I run into, and this is not me saying this is you or anything. In fact, I think you just differentiated yourself from them. But they victim shame or victim blame. They're, like, especially with taxes. Like, they say, well, if you pay taxes, you're supporting the state. Blah blah blah. No one pays taxes. Taxes are extorted by force. People that sign those forms and send those checks are doing so as a defensive measure against, being aggressed against. To invert morality and make them seem like they're the bad guy or they're the ones responsible for the evil that the state does with the stolen resources is sort of an inversion. It's like tax victim blaming is what I call it. And so it sounds like
Sure.
that you're not one of those people, right? It sounds like you kind of understand that some people, and the other thing that I wanted to mention was like that some people have different freedoms than other people. And sometimes what I see is that some people will design their life in such a way as that they are feeling the most free. They are living as close as they possibly can to what they consider to be freedom. And that might be a raft in the middle of the ocean. That might be living in the middle of a city, in some kind of entrepreneurial role in some kind of big business where they are extorted for more taxes. Like, everybody has a different idea of how they want to design their life and to live their freedom. And a lot of times what I see is people sort of like deciding that their way is the best freedom and that everyone else should be doing freedom their way. What does this sort of lifestyle that you're talking about, does it make room for people that, have different kinds of freedom?
Oh yeah, like I said, one of my favorite quotes Rayo is Vanu is yours for the making. I mean, we all have different backgrounds, different specialties. I might, I've never been on a sailboat in the middle of the ocean, but I think it'd be a really, really cool thing. And there's no government out in international waters, so I think it'd be a really cool thing to maybe pursue minimal sailboating at some point, living on a sailboat. Other people might hate that idea, so they don't have to do that. They could. There's another, I guess, Vanu strategy is Vanuing in cities. Some people do prefer cities. Some people prefer rural areas like I do. It comes down to, it just comes down to whatever situation you find yourself in, you do the best that you possibly can to make yourself as invulnerable to coercion as possible. But
what do you mean by that?
Regardless.
Yeah, what do you mean by that? Becoming invulnerable to coercion. I like that. What does that mean?
Becoming more invulnerable to coercion. Yeah, it's possibly invulnerable to coercion. But yeah, becoming as invulnerable to coercion as possible. So I guess one example of this is just kind of I guess the kind of what I would consider to be a vulnerable lifestyle is someone who is reliant upon one source of income, that 9-to-5 job. If that disappears, they don't have money they don't have, maybe more than just a couple of months to pay a couple of months rent or a couple of months mortgage, and then maybe, food for that time. Like, a lot of people don't have, a lot of reserves. So, like I said, vulnerable lifestyle where, you're reliant source of income, you're, maybe very, very much, I guess, you're not self-sufficient anyway, so anything happens, you're reliant upon somebody else. You're dependent upon your existence is dependent upon somebody else. So the idea is to remove as much depends upon external factors as possible. And that for me, I think just in this time, I don't know. I think that's kind of the it's a really tumultuous time in the world right now, and we could. Get to where things are going to go exactly. So what I do know for sure at this point is that becoming more self-sufficient is a good thing. It's a good thing to do. That I know that's something that I can do right now that will benefit me, and I can also since other people see a need for this too, other people are looking for similar solutions, maybe we can work together in building something over the next few years or so. So yeah.
Nice. Okay. Jim Jesus in with the super chat, $3. He says worms. Thank you, Jim. It's always nice to see you. For anybody else that wants to support the show with a super chat during the show, pops up on the screen. That is the address at the top of the screen if you want to support the show in that way. It's also in the description if you want to click the link. We are building out a whole new website. We're importing all of the Anarchast sort of backlog into our new website, and all that stuff will be up soon. We'll do a big announcement video for that when it's ready. But yeah, so thanks, Jim. Appreciate your support. Okay, so Vonu sounds like it just means architecting your life, like you said, such that you are less vulnerable to coercion. And that, like you said, that could be in a van, that could be in a raft or a sailboat, that could be in the woods. And I guess I should also mention ethical enclave trading too. Most people are familiar with agorism. Well, ethical enclave trading is the same thing. Only Ray wrote an article back in 1967 on it, and Calkin would have been like 17 or 18 years old at that time. So it is I kind of went back in history to see because it'd be pretty cool if Calkin got some inspiration from Rayo on the idea of agorism, because it's very popular and most people don't. No. Well, Calkin actually wrote about Rayo and Vonu a handful of times in publications. So that's just a cool little neat little piece of libertarian history. And then also, so that's another possible strategy for Vonu is ethical enclave trading, where if someone's a carpenter and I have meat, I can trade them meat for the labor instead of, and we can both save money on taxes. Like those strategies are certainly within the purview of Vonu as well. Yeah, favors and also sort of like side account trading, like where, you can have a series of books that just holds a balance, but, funds aren't transferring and you can kind of trade off the books until somebody wants to sort of cash out. There's all kinds of strategies. How many people would you say that you have involved in this Vonu lifestyle?
So as far as Vonu, I mean, right now it's hard to tell. I would say there's probably thousands. I'd say thousands who probably do something, whether it's having signal on their phone, or then there are some folks who are more radical than even I am. So like there's all sorts of folks. But yeah, I think it's going to become. I think it's going to get more popular. I hope. Well, I don't really hope, because I mean I don't hope, because the need increasing means that there's more tyranny. But yeah, I think it's going to be more necessary coming up. People are, with a lot of the stuff that's happening in cities right now, people are moving to rural areas. So there's kind of the normal human nature when things get dangerous. The idea is to remove themselves from that coercive situation. So without people even being Vonuans, I mean, this is just kind of people try to remove themselves from situations. So, yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, it's. You can't do it alone, though. Like, unless it takes a long, I guess I should rephrase that. It takes a long time to build up an area where you are completely self-sufficient. And hell, there's a lot of people that would really sort of hate that lifestyle. In fact, like, farming, I'm talking about myself right now, just to be clear. I am not a farmer. That is not my freedom. In fact, that would be sort of persecuting me to a large extent to try and live in that lifestyle. I'm an IT entrepreneur. I love the city life and the competitive capitalistic lifestyle. That's my thing. And so to become self-sufficient in that way would sort of be, I don't want to, how do I say this? It would be like, it would not be a lifestyle that I would enjoy at all, like the farming and raising livestock, to be able to be self-sufficient on my own food. So it would be important to I couldn't be monolithic. Is my point. That's what I'm trying to say. I couldn't just go out into to the countryside and farm and live self-sufficiently, I would need to find other people to do that with so that I could trade. You know, I have IT skills, technology skills, you know, things like that,
Yes. Yep.
that I would hopefully be able to trade with other people. Is there any kind of network or framework or, you know, community that I could reach out to, or that the viewers could reach out to maybe get hooked into other groups of people already doing this?
So yeah, there's certainly as of this year, there's been quite a bit more organizing, and I will mention just the first really good resource is a website called freedomcells.org. It's a website put together by Derek Bros and John Vibes and some other folks too, I think. But yeah, it's just a network of folks who are trying to organize in physical space and time. And I mean, it's completely individualized. You get your group together, whatever you decide to do. If it's just a group where you guys get together and educate each other, which is, I guess, one variety of Freedom Cells, or if it's more of, as you're kind of talking about, kind of a strategy. I guess something that you might be looking for then is something like where something like a cooperative there, and I'm sure something like that. I think I heard in the intro Dallas Fort Worth. I'm sure something like that exists there around the city. Yeah, there's all sorts of. And there's even another resource that I just discovered this year. It's called IC.org. It's intentionalcommunity.org. And it's just a directory of intentional communities all over the U.S. Now, some of them aren't necessarily what's I guess I would prefer, or I think what a lot of Vanuans would have in mind for these sorts of things, or people who are oriented towards freedom. I think a lot of people would want to be in downtown Chicago and like shared housing. That's what a lot of these listings are. Nothing wrong with them, but there are other ones, like there was a really good ranch in California that'd been there since like 1968, and it was explicitly like an anarchist commune, and it was just this like really beautiful gem, like this place out in the wilderness that just lays there, you know, unmolested by, you know, the state and the coercers, and they just live in peace out there. And there's places like that nestled all over.
You just said it's full of commies, though. That's gross. Yeah, no. In Dallas Fort Worth, we have one of the world's largest voluntarist meetup groups in the world. Like here in Dallas, we have
Yeah, I figured that. Yeah,
a good number of members. You can find us. I think we have a Facebook group. Voluntarists of Dallas Fort Worth is where you can find that. We meet every Thursday. We alternate back and forth between sides of the Metroplex. If you ever want to hang out and meet like minds, it's a really cool experience to be surrounded by freedom-loving people every week of your life. It's fantastic. Would definitely recommend. So tell us about your Pasnia. What is Pasnia?
Yeah. So Pasnia is, as I said a moment ago, Erwin Strauss wrote a book, How to Start Your Own Country. One of those strategies is called a model country, and there's I guess the more popular examples of this would be like Liberland and Sealands. Liberland is the disputed border somewhere in Europe. That's they've taken over and started a free republic there. And then Sealand is off the coast of the UK. I don't remember how many miles, but they've sold some 100,000 passports in the past 20, 30 years. A lot of passports. So basically, the idea for the Free Republic of Pasnia is it's just kind of a neat way, I think, to organize for intentional community. And basically just I'm sure some people are curious about the name. So Paz in Spanish means peace. There's I guess part of the reason for the name, and then PAZ is also the abbreviation for the freedom strategy of building permanent autonomous zones. So a lot of people are familiar with temporary autonomous zones. Well, permanent autonomous zones are basically just the permanent version of that. So that's where the name comes from, and yeah, it's really. I mean, we've got coming up here on the 26th. This Saturday, this coming weekend, I'm going to be hosting the first annual Bonnie Fest here at the homestead at Pasnia, and we'll be having the birth of Pasnia ceremony and live stream. So it's going to be a spectacle of an event. Like, part of this is culture jamming, obviously, like make a mockery of it, for government and all that. And then the I guess the positive of it is you get a really really awesome looking passport. Miriam Zachariah, my designer for LA Publications, she's doing some incredible work. Like these are handmade things. They're gonna look legit, and I don't know, like they might look legit enough where some administrator that's stamping passports, if they're not paying attention, they might just stamp you through. It's possible. I don't know. Not going to guarantee that, but they're going to look legit, and we're designing for that purpose. And then silver commemorative coins, some cool stuff like that. And as I said, this is just kind of like the first level, getting it on the ground floor. I guess I'm calling them honorary, or I guess I'm calling them stakeholder packages, STEAK. So yeah, it's basically you like the idea for Pasnia, and for the folks that are you like the idea for Pasnia and you want to help help it come into fruition, then there are ways pasnia.com to do that. And then like I said, we're having that big event on Saturday. It'll be a live stream on Float. Float.app/Rayo is where that'll be at about 6 p.m. Central Time. And like I said, I'll be giving a speech, be doing a flag raising ceremony, a Constitution signing, and so then it'll be a spectacle of an event.
Let's slow down. I don't quite understand. So you have several acres of land. Where's it located?
Sure,
what state?
Yeah. So it's in Southern Illinois.
Southern Illinois. Okay, so you have several acres. How many? Like, is it a large space? How many acres are we talking?
It's 22 acres.
22 acres. So we have 22 acres in Illinois, and you're inviting people. Are you forming a country with a constitution? You're inviting people to come and buy land there, or what's the deal?
So basically, I declared my homestead to be an independent country. So I declared it. It's a model country, so we're going to go through the motions and make a mockery of the thing. And fun doing it. And like I said, the idea is just it's you can pretty much you could think of it as like a subscription membership thing, or like I said, like a cooperative. But it's just I think it's just a cool way to do it. And like I said, the passport, the coins, it's a cool way for people to invest and get something back.
So are you selling plots of land there, or what?
Not right now. So the plan is there's 3 phases of the plan, and this first phase, this what we're doing this weekend is really just I guess the Pasnia, and then the first phase, which is working on food self-sufficiency, and then the intentional community is down the road, but it's just getting the thing started is kind of the idea, getting people thinking about the idea and getting them involved and getting things moving. So that's kind of the idea.
What do you need people to help with? Like, what are you looking to find people to do to get involved with?
So basically, down the road, I mean, so for me, like, there's a good amount of land here, and I'd love to see a permaculture farm on the property. The problem is I don't actually eat vegetables. I haven't eaten vegetables in over a year. So I don't really have any investment in the permaculture farm, but I think it'd be a really good thing to have here. So it'd be good down the road to, for people who, like I said, are and maybe it's people that are going to be here this weekend at this private event for Vonnie Fest, but some folks down the road to come here and put that together, because food self-sufficiency is important, and I think that's a really important thing. So that'd be kind of more down the road, and then. Now, I mean, it's just about raising money. I mean, some of this stuff is expensive. I mean, I want to be an off-grid homestead. I don't want to be dependent upon anyone for anything. So, connecting to an off-grid well, off-grid electricity, this stuff, costs a good amount of money. And if people want to help expedite the process, that's kind of the general idea. And down the road, with bigger projects, people who are, I guess, invested in more ways than that. So,
okay, so you're looking for donations, or what are you looking for? Like, if I were to, you said invest, sort of like, if I were to invest money, what do I get?
Yeah. So, okay, I get you. So if you go to pasnia.com, there's an honorary stakeholder package, with a $1 donation, you're up, you get I guess a Pasnian ID card. Okay. And various tiers, $50 donation up, a silver commemorative coin, and so you can see some designs there at pasnia.com. There's a dove with an olive branch, a possum, which symbolizes being against parasitism. And then my dog's on a coin, and then one of my goats is on a coin too. So we don't have the coins made yet, but they're in the works. But yeah, there's various donation tiers, and if dollar donation or up, you become a Pasnian. And more than just the benefit of the donation tier, I want to emphasize this, that I'm trying to build, as I've been trying to emphasize throughout this, is I'm trying to build, there's a lot of folks building and all over the world right now. And I'm trying to, build a network of these communities and kind of these networks. There'll be at some point, there'll be a forum for Pasnia. And get in on the ground floor of what I think will be a really, really neat project. Lots more information at pasnia.com, some videos. Check out the Constitution. I can actually sign the digital Constitution, which essentially for those who are curious what the Constitution is, it's just respect for and commitment to privacy. The use of pseudonyms is encouraged. Don't hurt people in any of your contracts. A culture that encourages humanity to flourish rather than degrade and regress, and a recognition of the important task ahead of us to ensure the continuation of freedom into the future, another way for those seeking a way out. So that's all the Constitution is. But yeah, if you're interested in checking it out, pasnia.com, you can sign the digital copy of that and learn more.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Well, I hope you guys, if you're interested in that, you go check it out. I want to ask you about your Vonu podcast. What kinds of things do you talk about on your podcast? Sure. So, I guess it varied at different times. But season 1, we talked about the philosophy of Vonu because, the strategy is important, the solutions are important. But there's an interesting philosophy behind Vonu, some interesting components behind Vonu. Then we talked about season 2, the practice of Vonu. And Rayo did this back in the 1960s and 70s. So in season 2, we just talked about strategies that he discussed in his book, Vonu, The Search for Personal Freedom. So things like financial independence, ethical enclaves, which is agorism, free isles and free ports, which would be like, seasteading projects today, intentional communities, crypto-anarchism, country shopping, which is like perpetual traveling, living on a sailboat, food storage, survivalism sort of topics, Vonuing and City talked about a little bit ago. And then, season 3, we kind of just go through different series. We've had series on Buddhism, a really long series on crypto-anarchism, lots of topics there. We talked about, we did an entire re-released the Building the Second Realm series that we did over on Elliott Radio a couple years ago. I re-released that over here on TVP as a series, which I think is just one of our most important series that I will point your audience in the direction of. Okay, two things real quick. Series. Yeah. Two things. First of all, can you give us that link again to Panzia? Spell it out for us. People are asking in chat.
Yep. Oh, yep. Sorry about that. It's Pasnia, P-A-Z-N-I-A, and I can go ahead and drop it in there.
Is that a .com? Yeah, drop it in chat for us so people can have it. And we can also add it to the description later. Okay. And the second question is, I've heard you say the word, there's a lot of new terms in this conversation. This is interesting. You said something called second realm. What does that mean?
Yeah. So the first realm, and this is so Vonu is this 1960s, 1970s thing, and the second realm content comes from a group of Berlin cypherpunks over there in Europe. So this is separate groups from different parts of the world, and they're talking about the same thing. So second realm is the same thing as a servile society, but for definition purposes. From one of the books we sell at Libertarian Type Publications called #Agora. It's a really good piece of crypto agorist fiction. This is the definition they put forth there. Quote, technically, the second realm is described as encrypted communication, encrypted currencies, anonymous and pseudonymous identities, and untraceable action. Another possible definition is an updated version of temporary autonomous zones, essentially the ability to conduct trade and other activities, including vices, in certain areas at particular times without reprisal from the state. So Taz is originally conceived of as geographically mobile, yet now it may include cyberspace. There's that these second realms can be both digital and physical. So a lot of people are familiar with platforms like Library, LBRY, or IPFS, or zero net for an alternative like websites on BitTorrent. These would be digital second realms. Examples of physical second realms would be I would consider Pasni a second realm. I hope. That would certainly be one. Intentional communities and wherever. Van nomadism, squat spots. Wherever people can live free and they aren't under the threat of the coercion by the state, is kind of the idea. So that's all a second realm is. It's synonymous term as a servile society. Second
realm is synonymous with servile, or second realm is synonymous with like being outside of servile.
Sorry. Okay, now I'm confusing people. So the first realm is synonymous with the servile society. The second realm is, so we're building this. We're building the second realm.
Got it. Okay. I don't know why. I mean, I'm just being honest when I say my emotional reaction to servile society is like, God damn, that sounds condescending. Like, where did that come from? Like, what's that about?
Yeah, that was just what Rayo called the society that I guess just the mainstream society. It's just what he saw. It was just a lot of people who would obey orders and without thinking about it. And that's, and if you read Rayo's writings, I mean, he was harsh a lot of times, but like he saw these things back in the 60s and 70s when a lot of people didn't. And now, like today, like these are just like these are, I guess more common things to notice, but back then they weren't. So he was very much a forward thinker. You could see, like you could tell, like he just got super frustrated with society. And as I said, kind of in the introduction, he disappeared in 1974. He didn't even want to associate with anybody. Like, I mean, it could have been that, or he could have died. I mean, we don't know what happened to him, but he kind of indicated in one of his letters that he didn't want to associate with anybody anymore. So yeah, he was a very unique individual in that regards. But
I can see it. Like when you go outside and you see a sea of masks. I can see some condescension being maybe a thing that you would do. It is pretty pathetic to see. It's not
a fun observation. It's just describing reality. Like it's not like it's just describing reality in an accurate way. It's just without sugarcoating it, right?
Yeah. Interesting. Okay, well, maybe as our last thing to talk about, you're wearing the T-shirt. I wanted to ask you about Liberty Under Attack Publications and what you get up to there. What's that about?
Sure. So, LUA Publications is Liberty Attack Publications is my solutions and freedom-focused publishing outfit. Started it back in mid 2018 when I released my book, Vonu: A Strategy for Self-Liberation. So, if anything about the conversation on Vonu intrigued you, I wrote a book on that subject, covered the philosophy, the history, various lifestyle changes, all that good stuff. But we've got, I think, 13 or 14 books right now, ranging from libertarian fiction to got a book on there called Freedom on the Front Range, a year of selected articles from the Front Range Voluntarist. I'm sure some of you are familiar with the publication out there in Colorado. Well, we've got a paperback copy of that available, a Vonu Guide to Firearms. So if you're interested in guns, lots of stuff on freedom strategies. If the Second Realm conversation intrigued you, we have that book, Second Realm book on strategy. And the companion, I call it the companion fiction book to that, #Agora. So Second Realm book on strategy is the strategy guide, and #Agora is the fiction book that kind of lays out how those strategies could be, how people could utilize those strategies to build freedom in the world. And it's based off real people in Berlin, Germany. So, we've got all those books available there, and we also, if you're an author and you need help with any step of the publishing process, we can help with that. Just go to libertyattack.com and for more information. And that's
all right.
It.
Well, I mean, a lot of cool things we've talked about today. I've enjoyed the conversation. Is there anything else that you'd like to maybe send people towards or talk about today?
I guess the last thing I'll plug one more time is this Saturday, September 26th, it's at 6 p.m. Central Time. We'll be live streaming the birth of Paz on float.app/Rayo. All that information is available at the website paznia.com, which I posted there in the YouTube chat. I'd love to have you there for the ceremony. And then also would love for you to become a more concrete part of Pasnia and become a Pasnian with donation of $1 or more to help with the endeavor. And as I said, there's lots more information there at the website. Otherwise, check the podcast, vonupodcast.com. And if you're looking for paperback books, audiobooks, or tools to help you improve your online privacy, we've got us. We might have what you need at libertarianattack.com. So, Patrick, I appreciated the conversation, man. It was a lot of fun to come on and chat, and have to hopefully get you on Vonu at some point.
Hey, Shane, I appreciate it. I am stuck in servile society here for a little bit longer while we deal with some medical stuff in the family. But, I'd like to probably come give you guys a visit sometime in the future. And like I said, I hope everybody watching that's interested goes and checks your work out at the links that you gave. And it's been a pleasure speaking with you. I look forward to talking with you in the future.
Appreciate it.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time.